Hi, this is Corpus Christi's own Solar System Ambassador, bringing you some news of what's going on in space and with NASA. Now, like all of us here in Corpus Christi, NASA is in compliance with dealing with the virus, and that they've closed down as many of their operations as they can, and people have gone home. In conjunction with that, NASA has expanded a site which is called NASA Space Place, which you can look up on the web or you can look up on YouTube. They've expanded the number of videos about space that you can easily access through that website, and they've included a lot of educational activities, projects that you can do at home to keep young hands very busy while we're living through these next 2 weeks or so. Now, I've compiled a 5-minute video. I thought it might be interesting to talk a little bit about what NASA does to protect us from bugs coming from space, and also what they protect about our bugs going into other planets as we continue to explore. They call that planetary protection. So here's a short 5-minute video. I hope you find it informative.
In the 1960s and 50s, Hollywood had a lot of fun making B-horror movies about organisms from space that ate humankind and sometimes the entire planet. But in 1969, with astronauts returning from the moon, fact met fiction.
We were the first crew, of course, that was going to be exposed to the lunar surface material. And there was a fair amount of scientific debate as to whether that might anyway pose any hazard to people back on Earth.
Apollo 11's voyage for the ages ends in this trailer, called a mobile quarantine facility.
NASA knew fairly well that the environment on the moon was quite hostile to life, with the bright ultraviolet rays from the sun, which we use on Earth to kill germs all the time. But just to be sure, they agreed that it would be prudent to quarantine returning astronauts.
They were kept in quarantine for 21 days. All NASA missions are built-in clean rooms to prevent specks of dust from getting into the mechanisms, but for missions landing on planets like the Viking mission here, they are also baked in ovens and treated in many ways to make them as sanitary as possible. But what if we chose to take life from Earth, like a plant, and export it to, say, Mars, as shown here on the NASA EYES application?
Because I want to meet other people in other solar systems. Mars is fine, but it is a fixer-upper planet. There's work to do there to make it habitable.
Mars will need a lot of fixing up to allow humans to walk around without things like spacesuits or living in a habitat. Things like adding minerals or adding carbon dioxide to warm up the atmosphere. May need to add more air, add more water. But what if we were able to terraform that planet, to do the work? What would we do to introduce a plant onto Mars? Well, the ISS is already doing some of that work. Here is some wheat that was grown on the International Space Station, along with many other plants. Hopefully some research is being done looking towards introducing plant life onto, say, the moon or onto Mars. National Geographic did a CGI animation in 2009 exploring what it might look like when Earth life started growing on Mars. Anyone who followed Jurassic Park heard life described as a very strong force that sometimes breaks through barriers in a very strident way. Well, because of that, terraforming a planet is something that needs careful consideration and also requires sometimes centuries of work. If you'd like to explore that on your own, there are board games and web games that you can sign into where you can explore all the challenges for terraforming a planet. Now, in the fictitious world of Star Trek, they have the Prime Directive, which is their primary law, which gives people guidance for doing first contact with an intelligent life form found on another planet somewhere out in the galaxy. We're not at that point yet, but we are close to building spaceships which allow us to pack our bags and head out into our solar system to visit other planets, as well as planets around other stars. Towards our own Prime Directive, we do have an international treaty signed by just about every nation on the planet, giving guidelines around how we will explore other planets. It's managed by a organization called COSPAR, made up of 2,000 or 3,000 scientists, and they meet every couple of years. Article 9 is their legal basis. Now, it's a complicated document, but it's been broken down here by one of our solar system ambassadors into these parts. It's basically 2 parts about protecting the Earth and about protecting other planets from getting organisms from one planet to another that don't belong there. And it's broken down into these 9 categories. If you'd like to explore some details of what all this means, do a search on planetary protection, go to this website, you can drill into it and you can read all the details about what this treaty is about and all the requirements any space agency on the planet has to comply with if they're planning to land on a foreign planet. A related topic of interest is planetary defense. You may have seen this observatory, which is in Puerto Rico in a James Bond movie. This, combined with technology like the OSIRIS-REx mission, we can both find asteroids coming close to the Earth and land on them and divert them from the Earth, potentially.
Now, the mission of the Solar System Ambassador Corps is to present on space at whatever opportunity they can find. So if you'd like to have me come and present at your organization, you can contact me through the Solar System Ambassador website, or you can just follow me on Facebook, where I have a Corpus Christi Solar System Ambassador site where I try to post things of educational value or just up-and-coming events.